Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this workshop on plagiarism. The aim of today's workshop is to clarify what plagiarism is so that we are all on the same page, and then to clarify what constitutes plagiarism and what doesn't, and to support it with some practical exercises. First, we are going to discuss what plagiarism is. Then we are going to have a look at how to use the Turnitin report, what is the Turnitin report and how to use it in order to flag any potential plagiarism cases. Then we'll briefly mention how to use referencing. And finally, the evergreen question, how to deal with the AI. So how to use large language models, for example, ChatGPT, ethically and transparently in your submissions. First of all, we are going to do a quiz. I'm going to show you a few cases and you need to decide whether this case constitutes plagiarism or you think it's going to be okay. So first question, copying a paragraph but changing a few words and giving the source. So this one is plagiarism because changing a few words is not enough. So it's one thing that you give the source, and of course you need to give the source if you are using other people's ideas, but changing just a few words is way too little to do in order to avoid plagiarism. So you have to do much better referencing than that. Question number 2. Cutting and pasting a short article from a website, not giving the source. This is plagiarism. Why is it plagiarism? Because it's still not your idea. The web is usually a free source of information, and that may confuse some students that it's freely available, so why don't I use freely? It's not your idea, so you need to give credit to the original source. Question number 3. Taking 2 paragraphs from a classmate's essay, not giving the source. May be tempting, but it is plagiarism. Okay, you need to rely obviously on your own work. Just simply don't take information from your classmate's essay. Question number 4. Taking a graph from a textbook, giving the source. It is okay. Why? It's not text. It's just a graph. Okay, it's a visual image, the graph, the visualized data, and I gave the source. I don't need to do anything else. I just indicated that this graph is taken from this source. So question number 5, taking a quotation from a source, giving the source, but not giving quotation marks. Yes, it is plagiarism. Why? Because even though I gave the source, if I'm not giving quotation marks, what do I communicate? I communicate that these are my own words. If they are not my own words, I need to indicate it with the quotation marks from the beginning to the end. Number 6, using an idea that you think of as general knowledge, for example, that the Great Depression was caused by restrictions on free trade, not giving the source. So this is okay. Why is it okay? Because it's general knowledge. Of course, sometimes the borderlines may be blurry. What is general knowledge and what is not general knowledge? In this case, it's pretty obvious, but if you have second thoughts ever, is it really general knowledge or not? If you are in doubt, just give the source. Question 7. Using a paragraph from an essay you yourself wrote and had marked the previous semester without giving the source. It is plagiarism. This is called self or auto plagiarism. What's the problem? You already earned a grade for this paper. Okay, you submit it for a different module, you earn the grade, you shouldn't recycle it in your new assignment for a new grade. 8. Taking a paragraph in Russian, translating it into English without giving the source. It is plagiarism, okay? Because again, the idea is not yours. You just translated it. It's like a paraphrase, okay? You use your own words, but the idea is still coming from somewhere else. You need to provide the reference. And the last one, feeding a prompt into ChatGPT and copying and pasting the output into your paper without giving the source. It is plagiarism. Obviously, you shouldn't do that. Okay, but we are going to discuss later what can you do with ChatGPT and AI in general. So let's suppose that you are writing a paper and you find information in the source and you desperately want to use that source. I'm going to show you 2 sentences from that source, and let's suppose that this is what you want to use. And I'm going to show you different uses of that source. Again, tell me, is it an appropriate scenario? Is it avoiding plagiarism, how you are using that source, or is it problematic? So please look at the source at the top of the slide. This is the original information that you want to use. So you sit down, you start writing your paper. It comes to using this source. This is the sentence that you come up with. Is it all right, or is it a problematic use of the sentence? So this is problematic. This is plagiarism for two reasons. One, the quotation mark is missing. Do I need quotation mark? Of course, because I'm using exactly the same words. Even if I had the quotation marks, if I don't give the source here, it's still plagiarism. Okay, so I need two things here, quotation marks and the source itself. The source is the same, but now it's the second use. Is it good or is it plagiarism? It is plagiarism. Why? I change the words. Do I need quotation marks? No, I don't, because these are my own words. But is the idea mine? No, it's taken from the source. If the idea is not mine, do I need to put there the reference? I have to. In any case that I leave this reference out, if it's not my idea, that's immediately plagiarism. Number 3. So is it okay? It's not, because the words are not mine. So here I have the source. It's better than the previous one, but I'm using exactly the same words and I'm not indicating it. So I'm communicating that these are my own words, although they are not. This is why it is plagiarism. Number 4. This is the tricky one. It seems okay, but it's still problematic. It's still plagiarism. Now the question is why? Because do we have the source? We have the source. Did I change the words? Yes. It's not exactly the same word, so I don't need quotation marks. So what is the problem then? It's the quality of the paraphrase. Because if you look at very carefully, all I did is I went phrase by phrase, word by word, and I simply exchanged them for their synonyms. Instead of extended service template process, I wrote ESTP. Instead of saying is not intended, I wrote does not aim to. Instead of writing to provide, I wrote to deliver. So I just simply changed each word to its synonym. And paraphrase is much more than that. Of course, it is building on changing synonyms, but it is also building on changing the structure, changing the word classes. So you need to do much more in paraphrasing than just simply exchanging them for their synonyms. The last but one. So it is okay. Do I have the source? Yes. Did I use exactly the same words? No, I didn't. So I don't need the quotation marks. So in this case, it's going to be fine. And the last one. Yes, it is okay. Why? I'm using the same words, but I have the source and I have the quotation marks. Okay? So to summarize, what do you need to do in order to avoid plagiarism? You need to do two things. One, you need to do something with the text. You either quote it and then you use the quotation marks, or you paraphrase it, but then you are not just simply changing the synonyms, or you summarize it. Again, you change the words and you make it shorter, focusing on just the most important ideas. Okay, these are the 3 options that you can do with the text. And at the same time, you must always provide the source twice. Once in text, when you provide the family name and the year, and the after text according to the given citation style that is asked by your tutor. When you are using the references for any idea that you use from a different source, you always need to give the in-text and the after-text reference. And you have to ensure that whatever you list in an in-text reference should always appear in the list of references. And it goes the other way around. If you write an item in your reference list, I must be able to find it at least once in the text as an in-text reference. So there should be a one-to-one correspondence between your in-text and after-text references. The next topic is the Turnitin. So what does Turnitin do? Turnitin is a huge database, and once you submit anything to Moodle, it will automatically compare your submission to a database of various web pages and academic journals and other student papers and your own paper, etc. And then it is going to highlight the similarity between your paper and any other sources. What it doesn't, strictly speaking, do is it doesn't detect plagiarism. It detects similarity. It may be plagiarism, it may not be plagiarism. So what it does, it highlights things that may potentially not be considered plagiarism. For example, your references. They will be highlighted, and that's perfectly fine. It just shows that other sources use the same sources, and that's good. But It does not catch plagiarism that is based on paraphrasing. Why? Because you change the words. So if you use an idea and you use your own words, but you didn't give the source, Turnitin will say it's fine with me because it's not similar, but you should know that it's still plagiarism because this idea is taken from another source. So to summarize, we have cases when Turnitin will say, hey, it's similar, and there are cases when there is plagiarism. And there is only this intersection when Turnitin will actually point out that that is plagiarism. So on the top right side, you will have situations like the reference list highlighted. Okay, there Turnitin will highlight it, but you shouldn't worry. On the top left side, you will have cases when you paraphrased, but you didn't give the source. This is plagiarism, but Turnitin will not say that it's a problem. Okay, it's only the intersection when Turnitin will help you identifying plagiarism, you and your teacher. There is obviously zero tolerance at IBS for any kind of plagiarism, but does that mean that your similarity index in Turnitin is going to be 0? Absolutely not. You will have a certain percentage. The percentage itself will not tell you anything, all right? You just need to check what is similar and is it allowed to be similar. Let's suppose that for some reason your similarity index is 0%. Does that mean that there is absolutely no plagiarism there? No, because you may have paraphrased without giving the source. Turnitin will say it's okay, but you should know that it's not. This is how a Turnitin report looks like. It's very colorful. The colors show similarities with different sources. So if you see this in your Turnitin report, and please focus at the bottom of the page, if you see this in your own submission, should you be relieved and say that it's fine, or should you make some further additions on your paper? This is problematic because it's highlighted without using the quotation marks. So I'm using exactly the same sentences. So I need the quotation marks. And even if I had the quotation marks, it would still be problematic because the reference is missing. It's like the first exercise from the simulation when I asked you whether it's going to be okay or plagiarism, and we said that the source is missing and the quotation marks are missing. Look at this paragraph and look at the paragraph starting with Greece and its private creditors. So this one is still a problem, although Turnitin doesn't really help us here. Of course, there are some parts which could have been paraphrased better, but altogether, according to Turnitin, it is okay. But you should know that it's not okay, because it's using specific information, it's using data, but there is no single source here, and it's definitely not general knowledge. Okay, so here, Turnitin is not helping you identifying plagiarism. You should be able to identify plagiarism. The source is missing. What about the last paragraph on this slide? It is plagiarism because even though I have the source, and that's fine, but according to Turnitin, I just copy-pasted everything. These are exactly the same words from the original source, and I didn't put there the quotation mark. How about the paragraph at the top, starting with others argued that the government should? So this one is good. If you look at the first part of the paragraph, you can see that there are some parts which are highlighted, but these are mainly phrases. This is not a problem there. And you are using the sources, Snowden 2012. In the second part, you can see that for almost 2 lines, it's constantly highlighted. So it's exactly the same words, but we have the source there and we have the quotation mark at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so this is a case of a proper use of the references. On this slide, you can see that the title of the paper and 1 sentence is copy-pasted, but this is just the title repeated. Why is it similar? Probably everyone in that class got the same title and they had to write an essay about it, so it's perfectly fine. The same goes for your references. Probably your reference list is going to be highlighted, but you shouldn't be worried about that because that's perfectly normal. So to sum up, never check the similarity index. The percentage itself is not going to tell you anything. If you have 0% similarity, you can still have plagiarism. If you have 20-something%, you can still be perfectly okay. So the percent itself doesn't tell you anything. It's not non-informative. always check the similarity report. These are the similarity reports that we have been looking at so far. What is highlighted and is it allowed to be highlighted? If you find that it's problematic, it shouldn't be highlighted, then take it back, correct it, rename it before you upload it again, and upload it before the deadline. So for this reason, please do not procrastinate too much. Don't upload your submissions like 5 minutes before the deadline, because simply Turnitin will not have the time to process it, and it will not have the time to give you messages about what needs to be corrected and what doesn't. All right? And remember that Turnitin is first and foremost there for you, and it's only secondary that it's there for your teacher. First, it should inform you whether you need to correct something or not. Afterwards, after the deadline, it is going to inform your teacher, but first it's going to help you. Okay, so use it. And finally, let's talk about the AI. How can we use it? What are the potential uses of AI? What is permitted and what shouldn't be done? So the good news is it's always going to be perfectly clear what you can and what you shouldn't do with AI. And it's going to be module dependent. So the module leader and your teacher is going to inform you perfectly clearly what you can and what you cannot do with AI. All you need to do is just simply follow it. There are going to be 5 different levels. The first level is level 0, no AI whatsoever. So not even clarity or quality improvements like Grammarly or Microsoft Editor are allowed. Okay, nothing which is AI enhanced should be used in your paper. This is a rare case, by the way. All right, so it will apply to papers that, for example, you write in class. The default, the most common case, is level 1, AI-assisted editing. So here, you can use Grammarly or Microsoft Editor to make some clarity or quality improvements on your paper. Final touches, stylistic, grammatical improvements. However, when you are using it, you should always save the original version before the editing process. So if there is any procedure about originality, regarding the originality of your paper, you should be able to present, this was my paper before I applied the AI-enhanced quality improvements. Level 2 is AI-assisted idea generation and structuring. This means that you can collect ideas from the AI, from the language models, and you can ask potential suggestions regarding the structuring of your paper. So what should you discuss first, second, etc. But you cannot copy paste anything. Okay, this is just for the brainstorming process, but you are not allowed to copy paste sentences from, let's say, ChatGPT into the final paper. And if you are using AI-assisted idea generation, then you should always have a record of the prompts and the outputs that the AI gave you in the idea generation process. Level 3 is the critical AI-based task completion. So here, if the module leader says that this is your level, then you can ask the AI to generate you a paragraph, let's say an argumentative paragraph on a certain topic, and then you need to reflect on the AI-generated material. So here, you should be very explicit about what was the AI-generated part and where does your own contribution begin. Okay, you should be very transparent about that. So you need to cite the AI just like you are citing any other source. And the final level is the AI-supported task completion. Here, anything goes. So if the module leader says that you can use the AI in a collaborative fashion to complete a task, you just simply use as much as you would like. So let us summarize what we have been talking about. First, we discussed what is plagiarism and what is not plagiarism. And this is maybe the most important, that you understand the difference between the two. Then we discussed what Turnitin is and how to use Turnitin to avoid plagiarism and how you can interpret the results that Turnitin is going to give you. Then we had a short look at how to use both in-text and after-text references, ensuring that there is a correspondence between the two. And finally, we discussed what levels of AI can you use, and we just simply concluded that it's always defined for every single module what you can and what you shouldn't do with the AI. Thank you for your attention and good luck with your studies.